welcome back to Empathic Sight, where I talk about wellness, self-care, and navigating the world as a low-vision Canadian. So I've recently had a response to my Setting Boundaries Without Guilt video. And basically, I will just summarize what the comment here says. It basically asks me to address how do we respond and how do we reinforce those boundaries with people who don't respect them or continue to push them. Now, this is a really great question because it's one thing to set a boundary, but it's a completely other thing to have to reinforce it and reset that boundary with somebody who continuously disrespects or pushes their boundary. Now, we're not talking about children here. We're talking about adults. So kids are supposed to be pushing boundaries. That's just part of their development, right? So the first thing that we need to remember is you've set that boundary for you. You haven't done it for anybody else. That's for your well-being. You do not owe anyone any kind of explanation. Simply saying no is okay. But if they continue to push those boundaries, I have 3 strategies that we can do to try and reinforce that boundary with that person. So the first one I like to call the broken record because you're going to repeat it over and over and over again, right? So it's saying something like, I understand what you're saying, but I need to continue to I understand what you're saying, but my decision is not going to change. Basically just staying firm in what your boundary is and not wavering, because if they continue to push and poke, they're waiting for you to cave because that's what they're used to, right? So the second one I call the redirection strategy. So it's something like, I appreciate your concern, but hey, let's talk about something else. Because clearly you're done talking about about your boundary and why you're setting your boundary. So now it's a matter of, let's talk about something else because let's redirect. Sometimes a little redirection really does help with other people. And the third one is using I statements. So saying, I understand what you're saying, but I need to do this for my own well-being. So putting yourself first, putting your own mental health and your own well-being first, that's not being selfish. It's called self-care, and it's very important. One thing to remember is that some people may resist. They may call you names. They may really push hard on it. And that's because people are used to the old you. Now, for myself, I used to be a people pleaser, so I know exactly what it's like to set a boundary and have some pushback from people because they're not used to you saying, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. And eventually I lost I'm sorry. It's just, I'm not going to do that. So I hope that this was helpful. Please leave a comment down below about a time that you may have struggled to set a boundary and maybe even struggled with reinforcing it. And as of course, please tag a friend who might need to see this because it's hard. It's really hard to set a boundary, and even harder because you feel mean to continue to enforce that boundary. So yes, please remember to like, follow, subscribe, and share. And as always, thanks for watching.